So that's why this network state was initially created, actually. I mean, to bring all Armenians together so that they can bring resources, first of all, intellectual resources, then material resources. First of all, intellectual. But these problems are, I mean, huge, and the economic problems, blockade, as I said, this Artsakh, Nagorno-Karabakh problem. I mean, now, for example, Lachin corridor remains closed, and Azeris have blockaded it so that, I mean, Armenians living in Artsakh, Nagorno-Karabakh cannot come to Armenia. And there is no food there, etc. So those are, I mean, big problems. I mean, and for example, Turkey not recognizing the Armenian genocide, and that's a psychological trauma stuff, because the denial of genocide is a 10th stage of genocide. It's a continuation of genocide, right? So, but the biggest problem that Armenia is facing, the Armenians throughout the world is facing, is not knowing who they are. This is the biggest problem that we're facing. So we have forgotten that we were communicator and we were serving the harmonious world. And now with the network state, we try to bring this, I mean, spirit back, so that Armenians would understand, wow, I don't have to go and ask for help for opening the Lachin corridor because Armenians are starving, but I am gonna start so big projects so that the world, I mean, starts working with us, and the Lachin corridor opens automatically because the world would not allow Azerbaijan to blockade it anymore. So this is the idea. And in order for you to understand what projects I'm talking about, that can, I mean, put an end, put a halt or an end actually to Armenian sufferings, is that, for example, one project is
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Network State podcast. Today we are joined by Vahram Ayvazyan to understand Armenia's history and how it could benefit from network state technology to solve its current problems, while also exploring the ideologies new network states should adopt and why. Vahram, welcome to the interview.
Hello, thanks a lot for inviting, and it's my pleasure to be here.
So before diving in, I'd love to just hear a little bit about how you got started in your field. What interested you about this to begin with?
Well, actually, I have always been interested, I mean, in networking, in global networking, actually, because I am someone who has traveled, I mean, a lot. I mean, albeit being, I mean, young, I have managed to travel to some 30 countries already. And I lived in different countries, and I have always been amazed with different cultures, different people, how they think, how they react to different socio-political circumstances, and how they behave in different situations. And I have always been interested in building a platform where those people who meet each other, who have same pains actually, and who have same solutions, can work together. And I have some background with working in international teams and with different cultures, and so this networking have always been something that moved me forward, you know. And it was I never, I mean, got into scholarly field of network states. Of course, I mean, my background is international relations and diplomacy, and I also was involved in genocide studies. But I never in my life, I mean, before, of course, was into any scholarly work related to network state and those social, political, economic structures. But then when, I mean, we had this Armenia, I mean, war, I mean, Azeri-Turkish attack against Armenia in 2020, and what happened to Armenia and to the Armenian diaspora in general. So I came up with this, I mean, building this network for the Armenians. But then all of a sudden, and to my good surprise, I realized that that you need to engage, not engage all people, not only Armenians. So this was the historical background of my network, of my love towards the network state concept. But I can tell more, of course, during the talk.
Yeah, so I'd love to introduce what we have in store for our listeners today. 2020 was disastrous for Armenia and its diaspora, as Armenians lost 1/4 of their homeland, de facto losing Artsakh, leaving thousands of victims dead and wounded, prisoners of war, displaced people, and refugees. In response to this, Vahram Ayvazyan, the founder and board chairman at thenetworkstate.io, an international relations and genocide scholar, startup founder, and a climate reality leader, personally trained by former US Vice President Al Gore. The organization is a pan-Armenian movement that aims to unite Armenians worldwide and build a free, united, sovereign, and prosperous Armenia. However, it has now turned into a global project to build a harmonious world. Network states are just a means to that end. Today, Vahram will be sharing how he has used the technology of network states to help consolidate the intellectual and financial resources of the world Armenians to ensure the security and protection of the rights of Armenians globally. We'll also explore different network state ideologies and how these technologies foster great citizen participation and engagement in governance, increase transparency and accountability, stimulate innovation and entrepreneurship in Armenia and around the world, address some of the social and economic challenges that Armenia faces, such as poverty, inequality, and lack of access to services, and overall how a network state could provide Armenia with an opportunity to leverage its strengths, technology, and innovation to create a more participatory, transparent, and inclusive form of governance that better serves the needs of its citizens. You'll walk away with a better understanding of Armenian history and how it and countries like it would benefit from network state technology, ideas on how to compare and contrast different ideologies for new network states, and actionable insights to create your own network state movement. So on that, tell us a little bit more about how your work can benefit different people, either Armenians around the world or people interested in starting their own network states.
Thanks a lot for the introduction. And yeah, definitely. The network state as a concept, as you clearly mentioned, it should be a means and not an end. So the most important thing here is to define what the end goal is. Because there are a lot of networks and there are a lot of concept structures that are network state-like structures who can have an evil goal or evil end, which must be criticized, of course, and must be brought back to a right path. So basically, what we at the networks that are doing and have been doing, and what I personally am urging my colleagues, my friends, my network to do is that we need to find like-minded people who have the same, ideology of achieving that harmonious world. And what it means actually, this harmonious world, it's not something like a utopian idea that you cannot have peace because there is real politics, etc., etc. But in general, actually, harmonious world did exist. And well, when I mentioned that my background is international relations diplomacy, I did, study history a lot, and not only Armenian history, but world history. And I am still, of course, trying to find, more details, truth, doing more research. And what I could find out was that the Armenian civilization back, to ancient times, was serving as a communicator, actually, within maintaining that harmonious world. And what that harmonious world is actually is that there is no one on earth who is a liability. All of them are an asset. And I am talking about civilizations, cultures, and all peoples in general. That no peoples are a liability on earth, and there should be a huge, I mean, diversity, I mean, diversification of I mean, those, I mean, cultures, I mean, civilizations, peoples, I mean, to get together, to share their knowledge, to learn from each other, and to bring perpetual peace, as Kant, I mean, during his time was writing about, right? But in general, this can, I mean, if people, I mean, share this idea of that there is no one who is a liability, but all of us are an asset, and that we can work together, we must work together to reach that end, that harmonious world. If anyone shares, I mean, those values, and that the universe is created as a harmonious, I mean, structure, and we need to maintain the very harmonious structure, then anyone who shares those values, those ideas, then they're definitely welcome. And it's not that they need to join us. I would be happy if they do somewhere a project that serves this end. So I don't need to put forward my own ambition that you guys this network is the only right network set that does this. No, we do not care about it. We do care that those people listen to this, and they also think on this. I mean, that let's create a harmonious world and do their projects. I mean, which serve this harmonious world. How we can help and how I can personally help, of course, definitely enlarging it, broadening it, and making it a truly global, I mean, movement, because we need to use this networking to reach people's hearts. Because one thing is to write an academic article or to shoot a movie, and another thing is to reach directly to people's hearts, who feel from the bottom of their heart, from their soul, that we are here on earth in order to build a harmonious universe, harmonious world. And we have those institutional memory things, you know, because throughout history we see that in pre-Christian times, because Armenia is the first country to adopt Christianity as a state religion in 301, 1,700 years ago. But before that, right, before that, we see that that we have a history that dates back 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 years, and we see, and even more, and we see that those times, I mean, people, different peoples actually would interact with each other based on this harmonious world, and the Armenians actually there were like post officers sharing knowledge, you know, of this harmonious world. I'm talking about, I mean, the priests, like pre-Christian priests, of course. I'm talking about the scientists of those times. And if we come a bit, I mean, to Roman age, right? I mean, Roman Empire. So Armenia as a kingdom was between the Roman Empire and Persian Empire, and was trying to maintain peace between them, right? As in between, and the Armenian, I mean, merchants and Armenian scientists and philosophers would kind of trying to connect China, India with Roman Empire, basically from the very edge of Asia to the British Isles, right? So those connections existed. But what is interesting is that we, in the Middle Ages, we had the Armenian kingdom of Cilicia, which was, I mean, in the Mediterranean. This was particularly of interest because the state itself was kind of a communicator project serving a harmonious world. So now I'm going to give a very vivid example of what I'm saying. So we, all of us, have heard of the Mongols. When the Mongols were attacking, I mean, the huge areas, I mean, trying to expand, I mean, the empire, Mongol empire, etc. So when the Mongols, I mean, came, so basically the idea was that from the east, huge armies would attack and their direction was to reach Europe and to reach the Mamluks of Egypt, right, the Muslims. So to defeat everyone and to enslave everyone. And when the Mongols would come, and their religion that time was Tengris, by the way, and Armenian Kingdom of Cilicia was Christian, Armenian Apostolic Church Christian. So we were not Catholic, we were not Byzantine Orthodox Church. We were Armenian Apostolic Church, the oldest church, by the way, in the world. So basically what happened was that the Armenian king of Cilicia, Armenian king Hatum the First, could sign a deal in 1254, could sign a deal with Mongols, so that he stopped them to attack Europe. And then after that, Europe would jump to the Renaissance stage. After that, I'm talking about the 13th century, and after that, I mean, Europe would jump to the Renaissance stage. So basically, Armenian Kingdom of Cilicia could stop the Mongols to go to Europe, to attack Europe, to attack the Muslims of Egypt, and in general the Muslim world. So basically the Tengris, Christianity and Islam together, Cilicia worked as a communicator project for those religions and the people who believed and who were followers of those religions. This is of particular interest. And of course, if you go to Venice archives, of course, diplomatic archives, you could find out that a lot of, Cilicia knowledge, Armenian knowledge of Cilicia, of the kingdom, would go to Europe, and that's why, we would have this Renaissance in Europe, thanks to this Cilicia activity. So this is a very good example of how Armenians could function as a communicator. And now we say that, in 1375, the Armenian Kingdom of Cilicia collapsed, and in Armenia, in the historical Armenia, in Armenian highlands, Armenian Kingdom collapsed in 1045. And for 900 years, we didn't have, state, because we were in the Ottoman Empire, Scythian Empire, Russian, Empire, part of Russian Empire, right? But, and also we witnessed genocide, right? That Armenian genocide in 1950, etc. So, and that's why we have a huge diaspora. Before, of course, we had a lot of Armenians, throughout the world. But after the genocide, we got this Armenian diaspora. Armenians dispersed everywhere. But what is interesting is that the very, annihilation, elimination of the Armenian factor served the role of this calamity, when that was the reason, I think, because when you don't have a communicator that communicates Tengris, Islam and Christianity, then you will achieve, high level tension, where you will face, World War, you will face, Holocaust, etc., etc. So basically, the Armenians, were serving this, according to me, and according to non-Armenian scholars. For example, one of them is Scottish scholar Freddie Silva, for example. So who again, says the same. So basically, this is something that we now announce. We now declare that we are coming back with the same agenda. Armenia now, as a state, in my opinion, in many of our teammates' opinion, is that it is a reservation state and doesn't serve the humanity and doesn't serve the Armenians, the very Armenians, the state, because it doesn't represent the Armenian interest. And we say that in order for the Armenians to come back, to stage a comeback, we need to announce, to declare to the world that we are coming back as a world Armenians, as a subject, pan-Armenian movement, and we come to serve the world as we did 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, and that's our mission. We cannot, do another way, because that's in our genes, that's in our, mission, that's in our national code, if we call it this way, right? So basically, we are coming this way, and to my good surprise, when I started talking about this, and when I started publishing articles, giving interviews about this, a lot of non-Armenians got super interested in this. And now I know why, because I met a lot of foundations, Indian, I mean, Japanese, Greek, Persian, etc. I mean, those guys, what they would say that if Armenians say this, it's acceptable. For example, imagine just an American think tank or American movement or American government saying this, that we are going to build a harmonious world. Many non-American, anti-American sentiments will say, oh, another responsibility to protect movement, to take to maintain American power in the world, something like it. Or imagine if a Chinese, I mean, think of a Chinese government says, oh, wow, a Chinese comeback, so to maintain Chinese power in the world. Or but when Armenians say, no one would say that Armenians want to be a global power, So that's our advantage. So our advantage is in our, put it bluntly, is in our, how to say it, harmlessness, if put that in geopolitical terms. So basically, you do not have a big geopolitical ambition to maintain power in the world in Armenian terms, because you don't have, I mean, that mission, that goal, first of all. And second, you don't have that reach. Right? So that's why if Armenians tell this, and because Armenians have proved, I mean, through history that they work that way, so it is acceptable. And imagine there were some Indian think tanks who got happy with this. I remember I met with some of them, and they would tell me that, wow, we came here to remind you who you were, and now we see that you have, I mean, you have a good memory, you could find out who you were, because this, I mean, knowledge, I mean, of Armenia as Armenians as a communicator between civilizations, cultures, peoples. I mean, not many Armenians know about it, and not many Armenians share it. Yeah? But when you start, I mean, talking about it, it gains momentum, And anyone who, being Armenian or non-Armenian, who shares those ideas that we need to serve the harmonious world is welcome to join, to write to us, I mean, to share, I mean, their knowledge, to criticize, to make suggestions, but we have some concrete project which I can tell, I mean, at a later stage, I mean, during the interview.
So, there's a lot of interesting things there. The first thing I want to do is kind of give this crash course on Armenian history. Please correct me if I get any of this wrong here, but Armenian history is very rich and complex, spanning over 3,000 or even 10,000 years. Armenians are one of the oldest nations in the world with a unique culture, language, and history. In the ancient world, the kingdom of Urartu, also known as the kingdom of Van, was located in what is now modern-day Armenia. It was a powerful kingdom that thrived from the 9th to the 6th centuries BCE. And the Urartians were skilled in metallurgy, agriculture, and engineering, and they built impressive fortresses and irrigation systems. And during the 4th century CE, Armenia became the first nation to adopt Christianity as its state religion. This decision was made by King Tiridates III, who was converted by St. Gregory the Illuminator. Christianity played a central role in Armenian culture and identity, and the Armenian Apostolic Church remains a significant institution to this day. Throughout history, Armenia has been invaded and occupied by various empires, including the Persian, Byzantine, and Ottoman empires. And during World War I, the Ottoman Empire committed genocide against the Armenian people, resulting in the deaths of an estimated 1.5 million Armenians. And in 1918, Armenia declared independence, but it was short-lived as the Soviet Union annexed the country in 1920. Armenia remained part of the Soviet Union until its collapse in 1991, when it once again declared independence. Since independence, Armenia has faced a number of challenges, including economic instability, political turmoil, and conflicts with neighboring Azerbaijan over the disputed Nagorno-Karabakh region. Despite these challenges, Armenia has a rich cultural heritage and a resilient people who continue to preserve their traditions and history. So what I'd like to do with you, Vahram, is first to dive into the experience of Armenia today, the current problems, and how those problems could be addressed by network state technology. And then I want to move towards this vision that you've painted for us, which is building harmonious world. So first, what are the current struggles that you see today that Armenia is experiencing that could be addressed by network states?
Thanks a lot. Just one short comment about the history. Yeah, well, definitely. Uh, do, according to scholarly articles, research, etc. Yeah, it can be some 10,000 years, but when you do more thorough research, on what Armenia as a civilization look like, you definitely go back even to 20,000, 30,000 years ago, when because the mountain Ararat is in Armenian highland, right, where the Ark of Noah landed, and you understand that the humanity was saved there, right? Because of the big flood, when Ark of Noah landed. So we think that this, Armenia's role as a communicator, that mission also comes from there, because we should serve that idea to serve people so that they go to they go to a right path, So, of course, not getting into historical details, because it's a very long topic. Yeah, I just can say that we are very old, as a nation, and with huge knowledge, and with huge connection with China, India, Egypt, Persia, Romans, Greeks, huge connections, which, and even before them, right? So basically, and there are a lot of documented knowledge and stuff that you could find out during research and during excavations, how, for example, the Indians would come to Armenia to get knowledge from Armenian priests and to share them to India. And I'm talking about some 10,000, 15,000 years period. But going to nowadays Armenia, nowadays Armenia as a republic of Armenia, is 1/10 of part of historical Armenia, which was called Metsai, Greater Armenia. So it was 300,000 square kilometers, and nowadays Armenia is something like 30,000 square kilometers, excluding that Nagorno-Karabakh Artsakh region that you mentioned. Yeah. Why I mentioned this territory stuff? Because it's like a reservation that doesn't allow you to expand yourself, and not expand yourself militarily, but expand yourself first of all spiritually, because your roads are cut, and you're facing huge difficulties. In order for you to understand, so our two neighbors have blockaded Armenia. There's a blockade, so the borders are closed with Turkey, and with Azerbaijan there is no border, there is a line of contact, so we call it line of contact. Okay, so basically this 1/10 of Greater Armenia, of course we consider that MENA region, Middle East and North Africa, stuff from China and India to Maghreb, to Morocco, was the territory of Armenian civilization's activities. But the Armenian highland, where the Greater Armenia was located, was 300,000 square kilometers. And we think that this Armenian Republic of Armenia is a reservation, and doesn't, under no circumstances, it cannot represent the interests of all Armenians. And we have a lot of Armenians throughout the world. Well, the Wikipedia details say that some 10 million, 12 million, 13 million Armenians, and there are some 3-4 times more Armenians living outside of Armenia than in Armenia. For example, in the US, we have more than 1 million Armenians living in the US. If you go to Los Angeles, you will feel it. For example, Glendale is a completely Armenian city there. But in general, if you look to the problem, look at the problems that Armenia is facing, is definitely that forgotten knowledge. That's the first thing that Armenians have forgotten. I'm talking also about the Armenian elite. Armenian elite, economic elite, political elite. So the forgotten knowledge that we once we were, serving the world as a communicator, we were, sharing our knowledge with, others we were, I mean, serving the harmonious world, and now we are a reservation state trying to survive within the Turkish world, because Turkey, Azerbaijan, they try uh, to put ourselves into their Turkish world where we cannot breathe at all. You know, Russia from the north, I mean, trying to maintain their, you know, Soviet and pre-Soviet style empire thinking, and you know, maintain empire, you know, into this region. So this makes things a lot of even more difficult than it seems. And the other problem is, of course, the Armenians, the very Armenians, not being able to exercise the resources of the diaspora. Because for your knowledge, I mean, we have nuclear, I mean, even we have nuclear scientists, nuclear physics professors in the US who could serve the Armenian nation, but they work in the US, right? And they serve the US state. It is good to serve the US state, but they should also serve the Armenian state if there was a structure who could, I mean, who could somehow call them work, I mean, for Armenians. So that's why this network state was initially created, actually. I mean, to bring all Armenians together so that they can bring resources, and first of all, intellectual resources, then material resources. First of all, intellectual. But these problems are, I mean, huge, and the economic problems, blockade, as I said, this Artsakh, Nagorno-Karabakh problem. I mean, now, for example, Lachin corridor remains closed, and Azeris have blockaded it, so that, I mean, Armenians living in Artsakh, Nagorno-Karabakh cannot come to Armenia. There is no food there, etc. So those are, I mean, big problems. I mean, and for example, Turkey not recognizing the Armenian genocide, and that's a psychological trauma stuff, because the denial of genocide is a 10th stage of genocide. It's a continuation of genocide, right? So, but you know, the biggest problem that Armenia is facing, the Armenians throughout the world is facing, is not knowing who they are. This is the biggest problem that we're facing. So we have forgotten that we were communicator and we were serving the harmonious world. And now with the network state, we try to bring this, I mean, spirit back, so that the Armenians would understand, wow, I don't have to go and ask for help for opening the Lachin corridor because Armenians are starving, but I am gonna start so big projects so that the world, I mean, starts working with us, and the Lachin corridor opens automatically, because the world would not allow Azerbaijan to blockade it anymore. So this is the idea. And in order for you to understand what projects I'm talking about, that can, I mean, put an end, put a halt or an end actually to Armenian sufferings, is that, for example, one project is organizing an Ararat Forum of Civilizations. Why Ararat? Because of the mountain Ararat, right? We are working on this. We're trying to build a huge database of people, of philosophers, thinkers of different civilizations, cultures, peoples, who would come to Ararat Valley, looking at Ararat, mountain Ararat, and trying to understand where the humanity should go. In order for you to understand how important this topic is, I'm going to bring you one example. In 1960s, 70s, Ethiopia, in African country, right, which is also Christian. So Ethiopia wanted to organize something like this. And they said Ethiopia is a Eastern Christian country, of course. I mean, like Armenia, like Orthodox oriented, of course. Yeah. And Ethiopian emperor actually sent a message to Armenian Catholicos, Armenian church, head of church, Catholicos, we call him, telling him that we invite you to lead a conference which is organized for Eastern churches, Orthodox Church, Armenian Church, etc., etc. And since the Armenian Church is the oldest one, then you have to lead it, and the agenda was how the world should live. This is very interesting. How the world should live according to those guys. I mean, who get together, I mean, in this conference. And you know what happened? The Soviet KGB, of course, knew about it. Wow, this is a good opportunity to enter Ethiopia. And then American CIA, wow, this is not a good opportunity because the Soviet KGB wants to enter there. We need to stop it. And then you know what happened? I mean, the project didn't work. I mean, the conference didn't take place. And the Eritrea movement started. I mean, Ethiopia I mean, got parted from Eritrea. You know, Eritrea became independent. So basically, Ethiopia started suffering. I mean, because of this, you know, because this is very important topic. I mean, because this is where the humanity should focus. Should work. I mean, should focus on and should work on. And we want to organize Ararat Forum so that the thinkers, Chinese, Indian, American, Russian, I don't know, Pakistani, Afghani, all Arab states. I mean, so sending their guys, you know, so the thinkers, so they come together, they try to give directions, how to build a harmonious world, and what values we need to work on. And just one info, an Indian think tank, I'm not going to name it because it's a secret still. So an Indian think tank approached us and tell us that we need to work on a special project, small project, which will have huge impact, is that future of work. What work should look like, because the capitalistic approach, it's that to gain maximum profit doesn't serve the humanity, because the humans have lost many humanistic values as of now, because of profit, because of, you know, maximizing profit. You know, I mean, you have, billionaires, and you don't understand what they are going to do with these billions, you know. So this type of stuff. So future of work. So basically, it's like a future of human concept, you know. So basically, these type of projects are on our agenda. One is this. The other is to build a big, infrastructure in Ararat Valley, so that people, could come and visit, and it could come and work. So we have Davos, right? Davos of business. So we can make this Davos of civilizations, people's cultures, and it should have three, pillars. One is, thinkers, philosophers, on civilizational level, on this very high level. Then we have politicians, businesses who can be this administrative level. And then we have pilgrims, like tourists, people in general, so who come together and work. So this three-level dimension can work. And we are working on this, and we even have pitch decks and proposals, and we have already sent it to some embassies, some think tanks globally. So anyone who is interested can join, definitely, so we can work on this. And it doesn't necessarily mean it should be only on Ararat Valley. It can be in Fujiyama, for example, near Fujiyama in Japan. It can be in Kosciuszko in Australia. It can be, you know, in Appalachian Mountains in the US, or it can be in Los Angeles. But the concept should be to organize this. We want to serve as a pilot project for the humanity, you know, so that let's do it here. If it works, let's do it here, 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 here. So this is the idea, and we also think of we also work actually of organizing security. Structures, you know, because we think that no security organization now serves security. For example, neither NATO nor this common security treaty organization led by Russia, etc., etc. No security organization serves the very security. All of them serve the insecurity. So that's why we think that time has come to build something based on this harmonious world structure. And we are also working on this. Meeting with people, even with ex-military, even with military, acting military, talking with them, trying to convince them that the way the structures function now doesn't work. So basically, we think that this way we can also provide security for the Armenians, because Armenia is facing security, huge security, lack of security now. Because, you know, Turkey, Azerbaijan, the terrorists, brought by Turkey into the region. So they are a huge, danger to us, definitely. And we understand that we need to go global in order to serve this, I mean, to solve this project, these problems. And when you mention, I mean, how the network state structure can work, I mean, to have different, what I was saying was network state, because we build a database of thinkers, philosophers. That can be a civilization, people's culture database of thinkers, right? So those who have this forward-looking thinking and who understand that this world is facing huge problems and the system doesn't work, and that we need to move forward to build a new world where the human values, high values, will be prevalent and will serve the humanity. So anyone who who shares all those ideas definitely is welcome to join. And even if they don't join, I would urge them to start run projects, I mean, by their own. And at some point we will do a synthesis, of course, and do bigger projects together. But what I want to say is that anyone who shares these ideas is already in that network state concept. And of course, I mean, the technology is here to help. I mean, we have, I mean, this currency project, let it be cryptocurrency and even non-crypto currency project. We have this internet, I mean, that helps people. We have Web 3.0, metaverse, etc., etc. All this comes together to help. But the main thing is that the end should be harmonious world, and we are here to serve it.
Got it. And I think, you know, just to give everybody some context, right? A network state is a decentralized and digitally enabled form of governance that leverages technology to facilitate coordination and cooperation among individuals and communities. So if Armenia were to adopt a network state model, there are several potential benefits that the country could experience. And I want to dive into some of those. And then I want to come back to what you were saying about how you could use this technology to kind of create a global international think tank to address some of humanity's biggest issues. And, you know, where that happens doesn't matter. It's just what's actually going to solve the problems. So, you know, the first thing is that I see there being a lot of alignment is that the Armenian diaspora is not able to help Armenia, right? So they're either working in the US or working in other places around the world. And if you have this cultural heritage and some sense of, I guess, nationalism to help your home state, having the aligned action that a network state could provide to not only connect all of that diaspora into a concentrated force, a concentrated effort, a concentrated action towards the goals that you're trying to solve. That's one clear application. So what would be a way that you could illustrate for listeners how having an Armenian network state or a Pan-Armenian network state would bring these people together and then create that think tank and then act on those ideas?
Thanks a lot for the question. Yeah, actually, we have been doing this. I mean, trying to engage Armenian diaspora to help Armenia. You know, as I said, the problem is deeper than people would think, because it's not like that the Armenian diaspora doesn't want to help, and it's not that Armenian government, for example, doesn't want to accept that help, or it's not that Armenians living in Armenia don't want to engage the Armenian diaspora with it. The problem is that when I mentioned in the beginning that Armenia is a reservation state, so it basically means that you do not have sovereignty enough. And sovereignty is coming from mind, you know, mindset, from your mindset, enough to exercise all these projects, you know. And the problem is political, geopolitical, and of course psychological, you know, because imagine, I mean, you live for 900 years, I mean, you live under this empire, that empire, you forget that you were a harmonious world, I mean, builder, maintainer, and you forget that you were a communicator, and now from the center you became a periphery. You became a periphery from the center. because you were centered, you were sharing knowledge, you were giving a knowledge to an Indian guy, to a Chinese guy, I mean, to their philosophers, to their priests, and then all of a sudden, I mean, you become a periphery dweller, and this periphery dweller thinking doesn't allow you to build structures which will be independent enough so that those people can help you. For example, military industry. I mentioned nuclear scientists. You think that Armenians can build, I mean, laser weapon or whatever? They can definitely pair science, but they cannot pair politics.
Right.
Because if you go, you know, I mean, I'm not gonna get into details because, you know, you're under surveillance of different special services. You are under surveillance of big empires. I mean, guys, etc., etc. So that's why. I mean, even if you want to build structure where the Armenian diaspora can channel, I mean, engagement with the Armenians here, that very structure is and will be under surveillance and is and will be destroyed, definitely, because people understand that those guys, I'm talking about bad guys. The bad guys will understand if those guys want to channel, I mean, this engagement, and when they channel, Armenia will maximize its resources, its spiritual energy, right? Because you have a lot of scientists who would come share their knowledge, and then all of a sudden you will remember who you were, and when you remember who you were, you will start, I mean, expanding that knowledge among Armenians and among non-Armenians, so that you try to build, I mean, you try to build the world that will not be of benefit of some bad guys, you know, so they cannot, I mean, you know, steal, they cannot, I mean, kill, etc., etc. This type of stuff, you know, as the world was supposed to be. I mean, this network state was, as I said, initially was created for that, and we even had departments: Department of Defense, Department of Foreign Affairs, Department of Pan-Armenian Bank, Department of Agriculture, Healthcare, etc. It didn't work that way because it's extremely difficult. Even we try to engage the Armenian government. I mean, we are working with some entities, etc., etc. But in general, the problem is deeper, and at some point you cannot jump to a bigger level. So for that, we realized that we need to go global in order to reach people's hearts, so that people will understand that those guys who are in Armenian diaspora, who are in Armenia, still, even if they don't remember that they needed to serve the harmonious world, but still they still bear that knowledge, that sentiment in their core, so that let's empower them with that, so that they can start serving. The main and we even built, you know, military center in Armenia, so that the diaspora gave money, etc. We did this type of project, but those projects are small, you know, because if you want to go big, if you want to engage global, I mean, population, you need to start, I mean, talking and implementing global things. So Armenian diaspora and Armenians should serve the humanity for building the harmonious world. And the Armenian diaspora is #1 asset to lean on because of identity advantage. Because Armenian diaspora, having that identity, you don't need to convince them much. You know, you can get $1,000 if you do this, etc. No, it doesn't work that way. Thanks to identity, they would even voluntarily act as communicators, knowing that helps the motherland and Armenian highland as a place for Armenian civilization. You know, so this is the ideological structure of it. And of course, I mean, we have been running a lot of projects right now. For example, we run cleaning Wikipedia projects, and Armenian diaspora people participate in it. So we are cleaning anti-Armenian things from Wikipedia. We are right now doing that. It's just one project. I mean, for you to understand how it works, but that is not enough. I mean, because we want to go global. Yeah.
So I want to like dive into also, right? Like how will a network state, technology, the ability to connect people in these ways, foster greater citizen participation and engagement in governance, right? If you have this diaspora, if you have people who, like you say, right, have this identity to make the world harmonious, whether they know it or not, and you want to engage that, these tools can be used, right? These communities, this way of crowdfunding, this way of aligning action and making it more efficient and effective and transparent and accountable than potentially the existing government is, might be a better solution. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Definitely, that's a top problem, top issue. I mean, for example, a lot of governments, and the Armenian government cannot be an exception, can be jealous. Definitely. What are you doing? Wow, building structures that are transnational, and those structures at some point will have more power than the governments do. But you know, the very concept of the nation state itself, I think, is outdated as of now. And because, why I'm saying that, because the nation states were never built based on people's thinking, people's, I mean, mentality, people's, I mean, culture, civilization, etc., etc. They were built. I mean, strong guy would, I mean, impose their will on weak guys, and that's it. This is nation state. That's it. Nothing more exists. So this is a problem. I think this Westphalia system is a problem, and I do think that when I mentioned that you need to reach people's hearts, this is the solution. When you reach people's hearts, then people, whether they are in government or outside of it, definitely, as you said, citizen participation, right? But definitely, I mean, make an influence on decision making. Even now, there are some, I mean, good examples of how we did influence on decision making. I'm not gonna give much details, but I can say a big country. I got a chance to meet the ambassador of a big country in Armenia. I'm not telling the country's name. And I met, I mean, that ambassador a lot. I mean, many times, 7, 8 times, and I could get, I mean, his concerns, etc., etc. What happened? So they have problems with the Armenian government. They cannot work, etc., etc. And I could definitely tell this to some people who are in the government, and then they change the course of relations, and now the relations are super and have advanced. So basically, this way we acted as a structure to bring, I mean, to bring something material so that you can touch, so that the relations are good. I mean, trade relations, even military relations are developing, etc., etc. Thanks to this, I mean, network state structure. So basically, there are 2 ways. One way is that you become the government because you're so powerful. But the second thing, which is easier and which is subtle and which is better, of course, so you don't waste much more resources on this, and you don't, I mean, get into, I mean, this political, I mean, slow level political, I mean, fights, is that you have your people in governments. And I'm not talking about only Armenian government. You have people in American government, you have people in Russian government that influence Putin, that you have or Biden or Xi Jinping or whoever else. By the way, in Armenia, we call Xi Jinping. In English, it's Xi Jinping. In Armenian, his name is Xi Jinping. Yes. And by the way, Chinese, if I'm not mistaken, they also call him Xi Jinping. So we have the letters that Chinese also have. So, more flexible than English in terms of his name. So basically, or you influence, I mean, Narendra Modi or in India, etc., etc. So basically, this is, I mean, not a difficult thing, I mean, to achieve if you build this structure. Network state is not just technology. It's first of all, it's sense of belonging. That's the first thing, sense of belonging. And we are also thinking of shooting movies on this, that to reach people's heart, that you build a harmonious wall to reach people's hearts, And you do this not only via articles, so etc., but also via fiction. So that with fiction, movies, etc., you reach people's hearts so that they start loving it. That this is their own. It's not just Vahram's thing, or it's not just Adrian's thing, but this is their own thing, so that they also need to be engaged. And yeah, the government itself. Since you are not in politics, in party politics, etc., you are not a danger to them at this stage. And if the guys in the government are good guys, will definitely share your ideas, because what you say is not harmful to them in long-term basis, of course. And because you say that you bring harmonious one, and for Armenian government, you also bring security, because you say that, guys, Chinese, Indian, American, Russian, etc., they come together to work here. So you organize a civilizational Davos here, and if you organize a civilizational Davos here and it becomes permanent, then I think, a lot of countries will think twice before attacking, your land, etc., etc. So this is just one, basic example, so you kind of try to bring solutions. The governments, citizen participation, Wikipedia cleaning is something that the government needed to do, especially the Ministry of Culture, because there are a lot of, misleading information in Wikipedia about Armenia, about Armenians, right? So the Ministry of Culture, that they don't do it, we do it. So this is something they are happy with and they can be proud of. These are things that that are just some examples, but the most important thing is that the people throughout the world need to understand that the nation state, the Westphalia system, nation state concept is outdated, and that we need to get together in order to save the humanity, and not the maps, because this nation states serve the maps, right? So this is mine, this is yours, and I can exploit here, you can exploit there, etc., etc. No, we don't need to exploit. We need to develop. We need to share our knowledge. We need to build through diversity, and not the one that is written on paper. This is. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I just think you've illustrated the point of crowdfunding from this diaspora, funding projects that reach people's hearts, getting them motivated to take action in ways that will be helpful. That also goes hand in hand with stimulating innovation and entrepreneurship in Armenia, which will also add a ton of positive actions to that. I want to dive into just how this addresses some of the social and economic challenges that Armenia faces in terms of like poverty or inequality or lack of access to services. And then, just to be conscious of time, I also want to dive into the different ideologies that you personally believe would be beneficial to consider in this global think tank. So first, what are some of the ways that you could see this highly aligned action or platform addressing poverty, inequality, and lack of access to services?
Actually, it should serve not only Armenia but the world, this network state, to bring, resources. The resource redistribution, should be, justified, and should be better. Should be, because what we have now, in the world and in Armenia, because it's part of the world and in the same system, as the world is in, you are facing huge problems with this. Economic development. Deep. Projects do not get funded, for example, because the ones who have money, they feel that they will be harmed if those projects succeed, etc., etc. But how Armenians and Armenia as a place would benefit is that definitely, you do projects. For example, in this network state that I established, what we did? We could find some people, one in Belgium, the other in the Netherlands, the other in Armenia, the other in the US. So they created an entity to export tea. Armenian herbal tea. I mean, these herbs, these herbs plants,
Yeah.
and now they export it, This is very interesting, I mean, so it's something, a very small, very small thing, a startup project, right? So basically, thanks to the network, say the people could find each other, and now they work on it, So this is just very, I mean, small example. There are a lot of examples like that, and this is the way, I mean, to bring, I mean, prosperity, to bring uh, economic development to people, so that they can feel on themselves. But the most important thing is that you bring sense of belonging to them, because if they start thinking that they belong to a special, call it a network state or harmonious world community, then it's something, another level, I mean, they start, I mean, thinking different way. Yeah. So this is about, I mean, this I mean, economic development, and it's, I mean, there are a lot of examples, not only Armenian networks, but a lot of networks that have done this and have been doing this.
So I think like the point about feeling a sense of identity, right? Identifying with a particular issue or identifying with a sense of self that is shared has been shown psychologically time and time again to be one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful motivator to get people to act, right? People act consistently with their sense of identity. So if your sense of identity is to be the kind of person that is building a harmonious world, it's much more likely that you're going to do that. So given that, I want to dive into how you think about the different ideologies of network states. If there were this Davos of humanitarian, harmonious peace, or building better worlds, building better societies, what would that look like to you personally? And then let's dive into the different possibilities there.
I am aware of different network state concepts and different network state ideology. And of course, I read Balaji Srinivasan's book, The Network State. And yeah, there are a lot of things that I celebrate written there. And I mean, in different network state movements, there are a lot of things that I do not agree with in the book, and also in those, I mean, movements, in those initiatives, network state initiatives. But the good thing is that they are gaining momentum. This is very interesting thing. So basically, I like the very concept of the network state. It's just you had the nation state, and now you are jumping to network state. And one says that you need to build free cities. The other says no, you build this crypto, governed financial system, etc., etc. The other says digital nomads, everywhere. Balaji says that you cloud, you build this cloud networking, and then with that, after that, you try to materialize this, building a state, like an enclave. If you try to imagine on the map, right? Of course, I do aware of this, and also I read in late December, an American Army officer published an article that in 2050, the United States Army is going to fight a war against a network state, and that network state will also exist in the United States. That is a very interesting thing. So from now on, you see that nation state, network state clash, which is not good, of course. So you need to reach people's hearts so that they understand that there should be no clash, because this is an evolutionary jump to a higher level. But I do think that all these concepts, there is a lot to learn from all of them, and we can definitely work together. And as I said, the main thing should be that let's have the harmonious world idea, and let's accept at least one thing, that network state is a means. It should not serve as an end, because when it serves as an end, and it can become an evil thing. So if we say that network state is the best tool to reach that end, that harmonious world, then all projects definitely will be good. I mean, because there can be, of course, you can have some I mean, pivots in those projects, some edits, etc., etc. But in general, I mean, all those, if they serve the harmonious world, will enrich each other, and you will get a better world. I can say that, I mean, all these projects, I mean, somehow can serve this Davos of civilizations, Davos of businesses, Davos of cultures, peoples, I mean, concept, and in all parts of the world, they can start, I mean, running this. And I could see that yesterday, I mean, chat, Telegram chat, people were talking about organizing meetups, which is an awesome, I mean, thing. I mean, in different parts of the world, network state meetups. And this podcast actually is one vivid example. And now I want to thank you, Adrian, for this podcast, because it's also a platform so that people who have those ideas, forward-looking ideas, futuristic ideas, they come together and they try to give a light to those who do not, I mean, have an access to this type of project, etc., etc. So this way we can expand, you know, I mean, our reach, so talking about this as much as possible, so that it becomes, at some point, it becomes mainstream. And then, I mean, because you need, first of all, you need to build this decentralized, I mean, how to say, priests. I mean, the ones who are ready to die for this idea, right? And then after that, you get this critical mass, and then after critical mass, you have this, I mean, huge population, I mean, who get together. So basically, this and the Armenian, this Armenian, I mean, network set, and the Armenian diaspora as one tool that can, I mean, work as a catalyzing factor, as a catalysator. So this can be. This can be as one of the many projects, you know, one of the many projects. But the goal should be one, just one, the harmonious world. The project can be many to achieve it, but the goal should be one, harmonious world. And I am here, I'm inviting anyone who should share those ideas to get in touch with me, to get in touch with us, so they can get in touch with us via our website, networkstate.io, and we can start talking, and we can start I mean, implementing project. And even yeah, I mean, anyone who also believes in those ideas can also donate, you know, I mean, because we also created Network State Business Club. Oh, I didn't mention about it. This is very interesting. Network State Business Club. Why we established Network State Business Club? It's not for Armenia just. It's for the global community, because we know that Armenian merchants, as I mentioned in the beginning, were serving the humanity. I mean, and the Armenian philosophers were sharing the knowledge, I mean, globally. And that's this Cilicia, I mean, Armenian Kingdom of Cilicia also was serving this, and Greater Armenia per se, because we were on the Silk Road. So this business club should also sell this. For example, if a French company or French guys want to expand in Argentina, they can do so via the network state, because the network state has people in France, in Argentina, etc., etc. So basically, I also invite people to think on this way. I mean, if you want guys to, if you don't believe in spiritual, I mean, think, if you don't believe in harmonious world yet, but you want to see an actual step forward, I mean, think that you can touch, then you're welcome to get in touch with us. You're welcome to donate. You're welcome to, I mean, join this business club, etc., so that you see that you can feel a positive outcome. So this can be something like an address to the humanity from me, that join, and even if you don't trust us, do it by yourself, please, but do it. Don't, I mean, get any fear. Don't get afraid. Do it because there are a lot of people throughout, I mean, the world who share your values and your ideas. So this can be my address. And by the way, just one very last comment on this. We are also working on Islam Christianity rapprochement project now, and one of the prominent Islamic scholar, Sheikh Imran Hossein, is working with us, and he is going to address, I mean, the world about this, that the Armenians can serve a communicator between Islam and Christianity, and this Christianity, first of all, with Eastern Christian, I mean, school, I mean, Orthodox, Armenian Apostolic Church, Ethiopian Church, etc., and Sunni and Shia Islam, of course, I mean, in the Arab, in the Middle East. So this is something interesting, I mean, for the for those who also think on religious rapprochement on actual level, not on spiritual level, thinking, oh, nothing can work, etc., etc. Those are good theoretical things, but on actual level, because we are working on projects now.
Love it. Well, Vahram, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your vision for the world. I think this is a much needed message, whether it's for Armenia or the world globally. Please follow up with Vahram. It's networkstate.io. We spent months vetting these speakers because we knew they'd be really valuable to you. So definitely check them out and follow what they're up to. Vahram, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks so much for inviting. And as I said, it's my pleasure to be here. And I hope that we are going to move forward together.